Lindsay Olivarez. I'm one of the family law attorneys here at Udall Shumway. If you find yourself heading to court in a family law matter, there's some things that you'll want to think about as you're preparing to go. I'm going to talk about some non-substantive things, meaning things that aren't specific to your case, but really are for general information about how to prepare for court. So one thing is dress appropriately. You're going to want to think about how you address when you're going to a business interview or a religious ceremony, something like that, where you're not necessarily wearing jeans, anything tattered, anything particularly inappropriate for one of those types of settings. You should also presume that someone can hear you when you're in the courtroom at all times. I don't necessarily mean speaking loud enough that people in the gallery can hear, but in fact, at least in Maricopa County, you're very unlikely to see a court reporter, and that's because the courtroom is mic'd. The courtroom is mic'd so that you actually have a record of the proceedings through that miking and video system. So that's why I say someone can hear you. The recording system can hear you, and probably a judicial assistant back in their office can hear you. Your attorney will be able to show you where the microphones are so that you can usually hit a button and mute it if you need to say something private to your counsel. But keep in mind, once you enter that courtroom, someone can probably hear you, so you need to be careful of what you're saying. The other thing you want to keep in mind too, especially in testimonial settings where perhaps someone who is opposing your position is testifying, it's really a bad idea to make faces or make exasperated type gestures. That affects your credibility. The court knows that you don't agree on stuff. That's why you're there. So you don't necessarily have to indicate your displeasure with someone's testimony by one of these gestures, because again, that can affect your credibility. The way you handle that is through your own testimony, and your attorney can walk you through that. Another thing to think about is really conveying that information to anyone who's going to be there in the gallery in support of you. Parents, friends, significant others, anyone else who might be there, not really to testify, but at least to show their support for you by sitting in the gallery during your hearing, will need to abide by all of these same rules. If you are testifying, be sure that you understand what you're being asked. Sometimes a lawyer or even the court might ask you a question that you're not quite sure what they're getting at. The best idea is not to guess at what they're trying to ask you, particularly when it's the opposing party who's asking you a question. If you don't understand something, regardless of who's asking you that question, politely say, "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Could you rephrase that, or could you repeat that?" There's nothing wrong with that answer, as long as you're not doing it so often that it appears that you're blocking in some way your ability to testify or your cooperation with the testimonial procedure. But there's no reason to guess at or to essentially help the other side if you don't understand what you're being asked. These are just some tips that could help you through a court proceeding, all the way from a return hearing or RMC all the way through trial. If you have any questions about anything as you're facing a potential evidentiary hearing or trial or other court matter in your family law action, please give us a call and we'll be happy to discuss that with you.